Hoka, hey, Alita Army. This is the Alita Livestream of May the 20th, 2022 Fancast, What the Alita Army Wants, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host, the Muskogee Creek. My co-host is Angelus from Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. How's it going, Angelus?
Good day.
Good
Can you
day,
hear me?
mate.
All right,
Yes. Cool. And
No,
we
I'm
have
just
with us
testing out.
also. Oh, go ahead. I'm
I'm
sorry.
just testing out a new headset, so that's why I'm sort of a little hesitant.
Yeah, you sound a little different there. I think the mic sounds a little better. I think that it doesn't sound as hollow or something.
So we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah. And we have joined us today Robert from Science Fiction Remnant. How's it going, Robert?
I'm doing great. Better now that we're talking about Alita.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we kind of always talk about Alita on this stream, as we do on Radio Chaos. We always talk about Alita. Now, I think what you'll see here, Robert, is we are definitely a lot more wide open than Radio Chaos. We invite people in the chat to join, to come on the stream if they want to. And I see Dizzy's out there. How's it going, Dizzy? And I see Finn. Finn, as you know, your Hot Toys Alita is on its way. So you're probably pretty happy about that. Okay. So where are you located, Robert?
I'm actually in Florida.
Oh, okay.
So for all of you who have been in Florida, I'm actually in the Fort Myers coast.
Ah. Yeah, well, I was born and raised in Pensacola, Florida, so which is kind of way on the other end of the state there, I suppose. So I guess that's the way that goes. And before we get into the main topic, Robert, tell us kind of a little bit about Science Fiction Remnant. And what are you guys doing over there? What kind of projects you're working on?
Well, basically, we're a podcast that talks about the stories behind, classic sci-fi. Could be movies, could be TV shows, could be books, could be games. And we had season 1 is all there. So if you want to, binge it. But season 2, we're really excited because we're changing our format. And Max is actually one of our hosts now for season 2.
Yeah.
And he's starting tomorrow, Eastern time at 7 a.m. It's going to drop in every podcatcher. So, be on the lookout.
Cool. Yeah. Well, Max is out in the chat. I think he sometimes gets wifed, so he has to kind of do that thing, on Friday, of course, Saturday for those guys in the future, in Australia. So, and I guess that's the way it goes. Here's the link if you want to get on the chat or you want to get in the stream here with us and talk about Alita. There it is. Just click on it and I will bring you into the stream. So that's kind of the way it goes there. Angelus, how's it going down there in Brisbane?
Sorry, I'm just eating breakfast at the same time. But
Okay.
Yeah, it's been going okay. I'm still on days off, and I still got tomorrow off as well. Luckily enough, so I'll be just chilling for today.
So you'll be on the RK stream tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, I might even maybe watch a couple of episodes of Black Lotus after the stream.
Oh yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
Awesome.
We've been doing that, Robert. Angelus and I, after streams, we'll watch a couple of episodes of Black Lotus, and then I really enjoy it. It's pretty nice, some folks have railed against the animation, but to me it's still entertaining. It's very watchable. So it's really good watch, I think.
I think it's a really good, even for the story. My wife was not into Blade Runner. She's came late into the game, and I show her all the movies, and I told her there was an anime, and she's like, "Oh, let's see that." And she finished the whole thing, and she wants more.
Yeah, well, it is pretty good, and there's so many parallels to Alita. I mean, I mean, even the main character to me looks a little bit like Alita, you know, so it's kind of neat, you know. So, but anyway, Angelus and I have been having a good time watching that. So,
Yeah, and I have to thank Angelus because he brought it up to me. I was familiar with the two movies, but I wasn't aware of the anime. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really good watch. Really is.
It's I'll probably just deviate a little bit because I can't remember if myself and Giancarlo addressed it in the actual stream of putting Black Lotus and Alita side by side.
Yeah.
But I know that, and I don't want to sort of focus on the negative side of it, but I know some of the more, how shall I call it, dedicated Blade Runner fans didn't like Black Lotus as much as some of the other like side movies and anime and stuff like that. And I don't know. I guess it's because I come from an Alita background that I enjoyed it so much. But I guess like some of the arguments even were that, you know, Black Lotus was too much like Alita. So, you know, they didn't enjoy it as much. But I mean, for me, it was a complete reverse. I enjoyed Blade Runner because of Alita, and it had what I call the Alita effect in the fact that it, and you know, I've since fixed it up since then, but ever since I saw Blade Runner Black Lotus, it actually made me want to go watch the movies because up until then, never seen it before. Both the original and 2049, and you know, all the other guys, even in the Elite Army, said like the Blade Runner movies are just chef's kiss. And and yeah, so like I said, it had the lead effect of wanting me to go discover more about the story. And you know, I don't care if anyone says I'm plugging the show or not, but that's almost the reason why I recommend you guys go look up Sci-Fi Remnant, because like quite a lot of their stuff, you know, it makes me want to sort of what's the word? You know, discover, like, it just opens doors. I guess that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, we get in real deep, you know, rabbit holes in our show.
Yeah.
You know,
anyway, I want to welcome Alejandro. Buenas tardes, Alejandro. ¿Cómo está?
Oh, hola, Crick. Muy bien. Buenas tardes a todos. Hola, Robert, Angelus, and Crick. Nice to see you.
¿Cómo está?
Muy bien. Oh, creo que habla muy bien español.
Yo nací en Santo Domingo.
Oh, qué bien. Excelente. Yo soy de Colombia.
In case Robert doesn't know, my Spanish really sucks. It's
but I think it's improving.
Well, that may be improving a little, maybe.
Sure.
So,
you
nice.
must.
Yeah, that plus with the help of Google Translate, you know, that kind of helps a little too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, we can use the translate of Google. That is a very good tool.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So, how's everything down there in Colombia, there, Alejandro?
Oh, very well, thank you. Well, it's a little rainy this time. It's very heavy, but we're expecting elections of president in these days.
Oh, nice.
Sure.
You're going to vote, right?
We are going to vote. The first round is the next week.
Nice. Yeah, real rainy there. I tell you what, I don't know if anybody saw my Instagram post today, but it snowed here. I mean, it's still snowing actually. Now it's not gonna stay long, you know, because it's just too warm. But yeah, we got some pretty good snow, you know, for May the 20th anyway. So it's pretty unusual. So.
Oh yes, sure. Very strange.
Okay, so I guess let's go ahead and get started with the main topic, I guess. And what we want to do here is is we want to talk about and I want the chat to drive this. Now we'll be bringing this up. I mean, certainly the four of us here, we certainly all know Alita good enough to be able to talk about her for hours. But what I want the chat to do is I want you to put out there what you want to see in a sequel or a series or anime or even additional manga, or as Angelus would say, manga. Angelus is training me to use Aussie accent, I suppose. And we'll put that up on the screen here, and we will have a chat about it. And also, if you want to come on yourself and just tell us, what you want to see in an Alita sequel or anime or whatever, or series, there's the StreamYard link. Just click on it, and we'll get you into the show. Okay, so I guess, Robert, since you're kind of the newest guest here, this is your first time on the Alita live stream. We'll start out with you. What do you think you want to see in like a sequel or series or whatever? And you can include any of these characters on the screen here that you want, or additional characters I don't have listed there, because as we all know, there are way too many characters to put on one slide. So anyway, what do you want to see, Robert?
Well, I always consider myself to be the new one in here. My experience only expands, between the movie and the anime that was presented back in the day.
Yeah.
So I don't know as much as you guys do. However, the hunger is real. The hunger is really real. And because I am that selfish, I don't want this to end. So I really want a TV show with at least, the main character. And I want to see Nova. I want to see, an incursion into the city. So yeah, I want to make it a TV show that, expands across 10 seasons. That's what I want to see.
10 seasons. Okay. Well, let's see. If we had 8 episodes per season, that would be 80 episodes. So that'd be, and something funny, you mentioned that there is more than enough content in the manga to actually help fuel 10 seasons. I mean, if you're familiar with the manga at all, how many volumes is it again, Angelus? It's like 38, isn't it, or something like that, if I remember correctly. But so there is
Don't
more.
forget, now this is a bit of a reverse psychology, if you will, but quite a lot of anime series, and I say series in particular, they, for the most part, have what they call filler episodes. Now these episodes, have a story and have like a setting or structure, but it doesn't add to the overall lore, as opposed to like the main arcs, like the Hugo arc or the Motorball arc. So you could say, Sonic Finger might be 1 or 2 episodes, or the side story of Kiyomi.
Yeah.
Myself for not remembering it and stuff like that. So they can fit in like 1 or 2 episodes if it was an anime.
I wouldn't mind an origin story.
Yes. Well, and you know what, Robert? There's like 8 volumes of Mars Chronicles that is origin story. Except I think the second volume is kind of a flash ahead, isn't it, Angelus and Alejandro? I think it's more of a when she's already gotten past the Zot and all that. So Finestro asked, what about Zex and Gelda? Yeah, that's a good question, because they're not up there, and they are 2 of Creek's favorite characters, obviously. And I know if Cranberry Jam was out there, she would probably get on me about not having Zex on there. So anyway, but yeah, those are 2 I definitely want to see somewhere, if not in a sequel in the series or something like that. So yeah, Zex and Gelda would be 2 that we definitely would want to see.
Yes, sure. I think Yelda is important because I think Alita is going to continue remembering all the past of her history. So Yelda is very important for that.
Yes.
And I would say that Nova is absolutely important because the situation of the fight with Grewinska in the underworld, Grewinska said that Nova shapes her destiny. I think her destiny of Alita has to catch it in her hands again and to confront Nova in the sequel and to check what is the future that he is going away. So I think Nova is absolutely important.
Yeah, I agree. One of the funny things about that too, about that, not funny things, but one of the, I guess what's kind of neat about the Mars Chronicles, it's all about Alita, when she was a little girl, and but for the most part, except for, and this is what Mikey Bike is kind of alluding to here in his comment, is that he wants to see what happened before the fall with Alita, and of course, in the Mars Chronicle, for 7 of the 8 volumes, she's a little girl. She's like anywhere from a toddler up to about 5 years old or something like that, and there's some pretty interesting stories about her on Mars. Because at this point, Mars has been partially terraformed. I mean, it's not completely terraformed because they're still under a big dome. But the humans, or at least cyborgs, are living on Mars. And in the manga, in the Mars Chronicles manga, it kind of goes into all of even her beginning, which is kind of it's got a little bit of a creepy factor in it, a little bit. And I'm not going to say because I don't want to ruin it, but uh, it's something that they'll have to deal with if they Disney actually. Let's say I think the Mars Chronicles would be great for an anime series, and I think they would have to kind of figure out a way to change what her real origin is, or else it's going to kind of creep out some folks, particularly kids, probably. So, but yeah, she's yeah, definitely like a little girl, and her and Erica basically, as you see there in the 4th bullet, Erica is kind of like her stepsister, sort of. And they are kind of being pursued by several different groups, I guess, in the Mars Chronicles, and they, it's just all this story about how they're surviving and that kind of thing. So, but anyway, I highly recommend that to read that. But that'd be an excellent anime series based on the Mars Chronicles. Now they'd have to tone it down a little bit, kind of like they had to do with the regular, with the movie, they had to tone down because, as we all know, those of us that have read the manga, and Angelus and I are reading it again for a second time, know that the manga can be pretty dark, and it's if they'd have done that with a movie, I'm not sure how successful it would have been. It might have turned some people off even. But even though the movie is pretty faithful to the manga overall, but it is kind of toned down a little bit, I think, So I don't know. What do you guys think? I guess Robert, you've not read the manga, but I think Angelus and Alejandro have. So would you not agree with what I said there?
Well, I think it could be done both ways. If we take example from, say, Paramount and how they're doing Star Trek, granted, Star Trek has never been gory or bloody, but they could have 2 versions. They could have a version for adults, and they have a version for kids. Like, for example, the show Prodigy is a show designed for kids about the Star Trek. So I think it could be done if they wanted to do it, and in that way it would be actually fan service for our old fans, and it would be something good for kids as well if they have that second show just dedicated for them. But that's just the way that I see it.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
wouldn't really call it a counter argument, but I guess a counter example is a very old cartoon series called Gargoyles way back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, that's a kids' cartoon show, but quite a lot of the themes and just the general environment was, quite dark. And considering the society of the society that the kids back then were in, obviously it's a lot different to the society that kids are in now today. It's it just like it makes me sort of sit back and think, wow, how did I not pick up on that?
Mm.
But and just to even give you guys a bit of an example, one particular episode, like they befriend a New York or whatever American city that they're in. They befriend a police officer that knows about the gargoyles that are stoned during the
Yeah.
day and then come alive at night.
Yeah.
And one of them visits them in her apartment. It's a female police officer. Visits her in the apartment, and the gargoyle discovers the gun, the sidearm of the police officer, and he goes, "What does this do?" And he's looking it over, and he finds a trigger, and then he presses the trigger, and then obviously it fires its shot at the female police officer who's supposedly a friend, and he's obviously long story short, they kiss and make up in the end, metaphorically speaking. But that's a pretty dark undertone
Yeah.
for a kids show.
Yeah.
And the backstory for the gargoyles themselves is chock full of politics and betrayal and backstabbing and
Mhm.
to I guess a lesser degree racial differences, because you got the humans who were afraid of the gargoyles, and the gargoyles were not afraid of the humans, but they're why are we being betrayed by them, etc. And it just goes on into themes that you'd think would be more suited for adults, but it
Mhm.
kills the cartoon. So
And from what I
I mean,
remember, there was good gargoyles and bad gargoyles, right? If I remember, because it's been so many years since I've seen that
there's at
show.
least one bad gargoyle that's a female. I think her name was Desdemona. And
Okay.
I think there might have been one or two more as well, but they come in later in the story. But and of course, there are bad humans as well that also know about the gargoyles. So yeah, it's just, oh my god, Dizzy's avatar.
Good day, mate. How's it
What's
going
going
out
on?
there, Azzy? Always hoping
It's
you'd
good,
tell
mate.
us. Good. Good to have you
Man,
on, Diz.
these headphones are pretty good, Diz.
Mate, you need to calm
Yeah.
down with that voice. All the people in the chat are frothing over your voice, mate. They're loving it.
Yeah,
So,
it does sound pretty good. Sound better than his old mic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
oh, that reminds me too. And like I said, to sort of add to what I was saying before on a slightly different subject, like I said, a lot of anime series have what they call filler episodes, and in particular, some of the bigger animes even have movies as filler episodes. And as another example, Demon Slayer, another anime slash manga series, it had a movie-length feature that sort of took place of about 5 or 6 episodes or thereabouts as well. So you could have that sort of aspect in the series, of an anime series or movie. So, but in any case,
Okay.
you could have, I guess the main formula is you'd have a 10, 20 episode season, and then you could have like a movie in between. And who's to say we can't have like 1 or 2 seasons of the Erm Wars? If you wanted to sort
Yeah.
of keep close to the movie, who's to say that we can't have like once all the other content has been sort of converted over, who's to say we can't have like a 1 or 2 seasons of Mars Chronicles?
Yep.
Who's to say we can't have like a Dragon Ball Super-esque set of episodes for the Zot tournament, as Dragon Ball Super had for the Tournament of Power arc?
Is all this going to be live action, Davo?
Well, it can be live action. It could also be animated, whether in the like the more traditional sense of like what they call cell animation. It could be CG animation, similar to like your Pixar and like Blade Runner, Black Lotus,
Yeah.
or even what's that other show that Odd John is like nuts over? Arcane. It could be that sort of animation as well. So, take your pick. It's just basically trying to create as many options for Disney as possible, because they're being coconuts about it.
Yeah.
In fact,
Hybrid wants to see, by the way, Guru Scott, Hybrid, we gave us deal hoita. Anyway, Hybrid wants to see when we have a sequel, he wants to see like the somewhat of a backstory of Hugo. Now, I think they would not be able to, expend a lot of time on him, because he was certainly a support character, and of course he dies in the movie. So
does he die?
Yeah. I guess if you fall from a distance of about 1 mile or 2 miles up, yeah, you're going to probably die, I guess.
But does he? Come on, mate.
Well, he was a cyborg, wasn't he? So I guess he's tougher, I guess. So
he didn't land on his feet.
Yeah, you know what? I would have to agree with that comment, because I would like to see, like, the story that he described, and how, his family, what happened to his family. I don't know. I think I would like to see, a more elaborated backstory on that, where he came from, what happened to him.
That would work pretty good for a series, I think. I mean, not a complete series about Hugo, but maybe one episode, kind of like they did in The Mandalorian, I mean, not The Mandalorian, and Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, when they had one episode just about The Mandalorian. They could do something like that with Hugo, I think. And they could get into his dad working in the factory and stuff like that. And they could, kind of fill in the gaps as to, what happened, what happened to his dad, and how it kind of influenced Hugo's behavior, I guess, and his desire to get to Zalem, So,
well, it happened with Boba Fett too. If you think about it, Boba Fett was just a character. It barely had any lines, but it had such an impact on the community, the Star Wars community. They saw, what, let's try to do this. So I guess they tested the waters on The Mandalorian, but a lot of people, including myself, after watching, and I don't know, what was the fascination exactly, because he had barely any lines, but we had the hunger for this character, and Disney did us fan service by creating a show. So I think they could do kind of similar to that, in that formula with Hugo, where they can give you, maybe 1 or 2 seasons. But, just like they're doing, I mean, obviously you can stretch anything if you have good writers, but, I'd be happy with a season that explains all that.
Well, they do have a novelization, called Iron City, I guess, which is kind of a prequel to the movie, in which they do go into some of Hugo's backstory, among other things. We talked about this on a stream prior, and the consensus was, if Alita is not in it, it's not going to be as successful, any of the characters without Alita in it, and that could be true, So, but yeah, I'd like to see a little bit of a backstory with Hugo. I mean, I think everybody on this in the chat here on this stream will know my initial feelings about Hugo was pretty negative. I mean, not when he first meets Alita, but when he strikes a deal with Vector and all this kind of stuff. That those grind cutters nearly kill Alita and stuff like that. But since then, I guess my feelings have evolved on him. So I guess I would like to see at least one episode, of his backstory, just so we get a little context behind him, because you really don't get that much of that in the movie. You just don't. And it looks like Hybrid wants an ACU too. He wants an Alita Cinematic Universe. And I said that the last couple of streams. I said, yeah, I want an ACU as well. So
yes, please.
Yes.
Here's
many movies. That's right.
In Hugo in particular, and to cater to those that want a slightly bigger Hugo arc, as we all know, they changed Doc Ito's motivations a little slightly. So who's to say they can't do this again if they wanted to stick with the movie? Who's to say they can't do it with Hugo as well? Now, you can still have the character of his brother and his wife, if you will. But the thought that just occurred to me like about 5 minutes ago is that instead of being like an engineer that designs a balloon to go flying, I can't remember in the manga if he actually did want to go Zalem or if he just wanted to like fly up in the air in the hot air balloon that he designed. But yeah, you could have him as an engineer that worked for the factory or worked for Zalem, and he could have had like desires to get to Zalem himself, the brother that is, and that's where Hugo might have picked up on that as he like as a young kid he would have helped his Uncle Creek, and he would have picked up on that because obviously he had a lack of a father figure and whatnot. So yeah, maybe he thought to himself, you know what, if I design something that could really help Zalem and prove myself to the elite, maybe they'd let me in. So he could have designed some sort of machine or defense system and introduce another completely new character who's jealous of that and tries to, backstab him or even kill Hugo's brother. And then that's where Hugo's motivation leading into the prequel novel on how he got involved with Vector, because he wants to get up to Zalem as well, again, because that's what he picked up from his uncle. But maybe he's not as smart, maybe he's not as resourceful, or in a matter of speaking, maybe he is. So he goes, jacking cyborgs for money, unbeknownst to him. Now we're going into movie territory here. So you could have that sort of thing, and it just occurred to me then, what if the uncle designed a defense system so that you make transporting goods more efficiently. Maybe they have a more thorough defense system, so the Great War, they're more prepared for it. Again, obviously, it's 300 years ago, so how would Hugo's uncle know the real story behind it?
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, Matt. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so, no, that's what I was going to say. So, that could be expanding on Hugo's backstory as well.
Yeah. Yeah, before Maxie had a take on that too. But before I get to that one, Finestro wanted to know who was the name of the girl that hurt Alita so badly in Zalem, or was it a woman? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, Finestro, but I do know that she got in a fight with Karula, who is a vampire, and Karula could have killed Alita, but she didn't because she knew that Alita was destined to have the Fata Morgana, which is all manga talk there, Robert. So, but anyway, I think that might be who you're referring to there, Finestro. I'm not sure about that.
As for how Alita got to Iron City, she did fail in her mission and
Yes.
got captured. So she got, booted
Yes.
back down to Earth from
Yeah. Well,
Catheri.
she was tortured and actually executed, thrown off of Jeru, I guess. And I guess in the movie it was off of Zalem. So I don't know, one of the two, but and then of course she fell to Earth, but it didn't kill her, but they thought it did, type of thing,
So if you thought
And
Hugo had it bad.
Yeah, exactly, and Maxie brings up the thing about Hugo's older brother, and I kind of remember this from some of the information I've seen about his older brother building a balloon to try to get up to Zalem, and that didn't work out too good for him. So, and I think that was Maxie. Correct me if I'm wrong out in the chat. I think that was also in the Iron City novelization, wasn't it? I'm not sure about that. So. Okay, well, anyway, here are the characters I guess we want to see, and all of those characters up there, save Figure 4 and Chaos, are all in the movie. Now, well, Erica also is not in the movie. So Erica, Figure 4, and Chaos are all manga characters, but the Alita Army really, really likes those characters. So, particularly Figure 4, the Creek really likes Figure 4 because if you look at that picture there on the right, he is just above Alita wearing that headband, and he's Dan and I have had that discussion, but I think he's an American Indian myself, but I think Dan thinks that he's a Polynesian guy. So I don't know, it could be either one, I guess. And anyway, he and Alita have they start up a relationship when she goes to the Badlands and that kind of thing. So, but anyway, that's a character the Creek would definitely like to see in a sequel or something like that. Or see, the Creek wants more in a sequel. He wants either a trilogy or 4 or 5 movies or 10 movies, whatever it takes. And of course, somewhere along the line, we got to see Chaos. We got to see him too, because I really like Chaos. He's a powerful character, and he's got an interesting power called psychometry, which when he touches something, he learns everything about anybody who has touched that device, or it could be a weapon, or it could be just an object of any kind, or even a person for that matter. He touches them and he knows, the history, so it's a pretty cool, a really cool power I think he has. So I'd like to see him. And of course, we do know that, we had a really good interview with Elle Lamont here about 2 weeks ago. And, we definitely want to see Screwhead come back, because she's not dead. Her head was still intact after Stinger chopped her into bits, because he wasn't paying attention. And, we definitely want to see Elle get another shot at Alita, at a Alita sequel. And of course, Zapan, we got to see him. The neat thing about Zapan is in the manga, he gets a hold of the Berserker body and he turns into a monster. He decimates about half of Iron City, and then of course he and Alita have a fight, and that whole thing transpires. So, okay, any thoughts about any of those characters up there? One that we don't know about? Anybody?
I would say that Ido is very important too, because the history of the Ido continues in the manga. He's going to be the tuner of Yashugan, for instance. That is a very hard impact in the feelings of Salida, because he's the tuner of the enemy in the Motorball. So I think it's something that has to take into account.
Yeah, he's Joshigan's tuner, isn't he? And I think in the manga, that's right.
And
that's
book number 3, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because he competes with Alita. You know, they both form teams, and I guess Ito doesn't want Alita, at least in the manga, I think, to compete in the motorball, league or whatever, And I think he and Alita have a little bit of a falling out. That's when she gets her apartment and all that stuff. So, I think that would be a really, we've got to see Ito. There's no doubt about that. What about it, Dizzy? Go ahead, Robert.
I was just going to say, I kind of like to see also a backstory of what happened to him and his daughter and his fall from basically like fall from grace. I'm sure there's a lot of that on the manga, but it would be nice to see it on the screen.
Yes. Yeah, we didn't get much, did we? About his daughter, except maybe that Ama kills her, obviously. But that's about all we see about it, isn't it? So in the manga, Ito names Alita, or it's Yoko in the manga. He names her after his cat in the manga, but in the movie he names her after his daughter. Which I think is a little more easier to take. I think, especially for me being a dog person. So,
I think the Screwhead could be interesting too.
Say again,
it's a way to balance. You mentioned about the Screwhead. It was a very interesting character in the 2 weeks ago live stream. That girl is very interesting with very good concepts. I think the interaction between Alita and another female hunter warrior could be very interesting. That somebody could repair and get it into combat again. And
go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I think the interview we had with Elle, that was on the Radio Chaos stream actually, and she was great. So, but yeah, it'd be we talked about in that stream about how Screwhead could come back and then kind of have I guess you could say a come to Jesus moment, of some sort, or some kind of epiphany. And Maxie, he said the cat was also called Gary. Yeah, that's right. By the way, Robert, that's my name, Gary. So that's true. That's true, Maxie. I mean, we talked about on that Radio Chaos stream how Alita and Screwhead could actually become like, friends, or at least have an understanding between themselves, because Screwhead realizes that, she was being conned and all that, and, not liking the situation, because originally, she was only in it for the money to get 500,000 credits. And then she realizes that this was all BS, and now she's, she wants to help Alita in some way. I think that would be a great storyline myself. So we'd have two female badasses, just kind of, kicking ass, as they would say. So, this is what Maxie had to say. Yeah, what am I complaining about? The cat's name was Gary. Yeah, that's true, except it was Gari, I think, Maxie. And I don't spell my name with 2 R's. So there. Anyway, Diz, what do you think? Is there any characters up there that strike your fancy and you just have to see in a sequel, or even one that's not up there?
Mate, I want to see the Joshigan arc, and I want the arm wrestle as a whole episode. Yeah, maybe even a movie just on that.
Oh yeah, that would be epic. For those of you who haven't read the manga, Alita and Joshigan actually get into an arm wrestling match. And he was, I think it was in like a cafe or something like that. Yeah. And Joshigan happens along the way, and Alita gets a burr stuck up her butt or something about it, I guess. And they start an arm wrestling thing, and it was kind of a draw, I guess. And then
he started winning. He started winning and snapping her arm.
Yeah. But
using
then
that
for some
power or
reason,
key or whatever.
yeah, that the power of key or chi or whatever it is, but he stops. And I guess he leaves and he's walking away and his arm falls off. So I guess he figures if I'd have kept that up, she would have beat me, because even though he was kind of winning, his arm was giving out, I think. So yeah.
What else would be cool is why that's happening in the background. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember in the manga, but that's when Zapan isn't he getting the berserker body and flying around like a numpty trying to kill everyone?
Yeah, so there soon after, yeah.
Yeah.
And he kind of goes nuts when he sees Alita on TV.
Well, I would really like to see that part where she chops herself in half to get to the gat and then shoots it. That would be epic.
Yeah, shoots him with the collapse around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're the main things I would love to see, but I don't know if they'll get that in a Disney sequel.
Yeah, probably not. Well, I don't know. They chopped it. That was when it was with Fox, I guess. But they chopped her in half when she fought Garishka. So, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Maybe it might be a different context when she's chopping herself in half slowly.
Yeah, that might be a little different. That'd be a little bit like, I guess, Deadpool cutting his hand off. When he was being dragged by the big steel guy. You remember that scene? I guess.
Yeah, the one with the big ass cheeks he loves.
I was just gonna say Disney's gonna have a problem if they try to, because what happens to Deadpool. When they if they decide to do another Deadpool movie and he happens to be not what they, the viewers have been accustomed to watching anymore. Deadpool is actually one of the closest things that I've seen to the manga of Alita when it comes to gore, although it's not as gory. But, Disney's going to have a problem in their hands if they try to, clean, for a lack of a better word, clean that up when it comes to Deadpool. So I think if Deadpool gets that treatment, Alita should get the same treatment.
I think so, yeah. Now, one thing about Alita, if she's fighting cyborgs, they can use the blue blood, then it doesn't have the same, type deal, But yeah, if she gets gory with humans, that's going to be a problem. They're going to have a lot of issue with that one, I think. By the way, Maxie's correcting us, Dizzy. He says the Motorball arc and the Zerkerpan arc are separated by 4 years in the manga. So, yeah, I guess he's right. But because I do remember Zapan kind of goes nuts in his head when he sees Alita competing in Motorball. I think that's what it was. I'm not sure about that. So
they can compress it, man. It's all good. They did with the movie.
Yeah, yeah, they could do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying about making a version for kids if they wanted to do, because they basically did something similar, but they can even clean it up more than the movie, and provide it for kids.
Yes.
Yet giving us what we want.
Yeah, we talked about that. Oh, we lost Jeffrey. I was about to welcome him. Yeah, we talked about that in the interview with Elle Lamont. About that, about whether or not. Oh, there's Jeffrey. Whether or not to make it an R-rated movie, the sequel, and I guess her thought was if they do that, we're gonna lose a lot of the kind of the youth, because kind of R-rated might be a little bit too much for younger, a lot younger people. Probably folks in their late teens is no big deal, obviously, but folks like 12 years old and stuff like that, or say kids that are Alita's age at the beginning of the movie, it might be a little bit much for that to be an R-rated movie. So anyway,
I think it comes down. I think it might come down to just money. Because if they can make it, if they don't make it R-rated, they can sell it to more people and make more money than if they make it R-rated. I don't know. I might be wrong in that one, but it makes sense in my head.
Yeah. Hello, Kunstler99. How's it going there in Chicago?
Oh, it's rainy. It's raining right now. But other than that, it's starting to get warmer.
Cool. Well, it's lucky you getting rain. We're getting snow here, unbelievably. So, yeah, weird. So, by the way, did you see the correction I did on Jeff on the or Kunstler on the I guess who created the sign? You know, the sign you see behind me here on the.
It's covered up by the live thing, man.
Yeah, it is. So yeah. So anyway,
I didn't see the correction. What was it?
yeah. Well, I think we made a mistake, and we said one person created the sign was really you. You know. So anyway, I went and corrected that in the in the description. So anyway, you go take a look at it. So anyway, just for a little context, everybody on his stream, except maybe you, Robert, don't know that Jeffrey made that Kansas sign you see on the back of my. This is my bar. Actually, this is just a backdrop, a green screen backdrop. But he did do a bar for me. A sign for my bar, and that's what's up in the back there. So I got a Denver branch of the Kansas bar. So
nice.
Yeah.
I had to mention that comment from Sin of Sanity is just way too funny.
You mean like this comment?
I get. We were talking about. I think it was Sapanda we were talking about. I go nuts when I see Alita on TV too. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, all of us in the Alita Army go nuts every time we see Alita. So yeah, that's just the nature of the beast. That's just who we are. So. And of course, Finestro is he's all over wanting a green light, for a sequel. So yep, we sure do want that, Finn. That's for sure. And just for the folks that don't know, oh, go ahead, Robert.
Sorry, I said that one green lighting a part 2, a second movie. If that ever happens, I think that could open the door for so much. Especially if it is successful.
Yeah, well, I think if they're going to greenlight 2, then there's going to be a third. Like, if you're getting one sequel, they know they're doing a third.
And a fourth.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the TV show with 10 seasons.
Well, they've got an army. They got an army behind them.
And a game.
So that's right. So yeah, Robert did do a good job of sanitizing Alita because if they had put just what's in the manga up there, I don't know, that'd been pretty rough probably. Disney definitely wouldn't want to put that up, but yeah, they did a pretty good job cleaning that up. I mean, and it was faithful to the manga too, really in general, so it was really pretty good. So
maybe they should do an in between, an M rating or something, so it can still be half gory, but the kiddies just have to have their parents with them.
Yeah, possibly.
In the U.S., you can't really get it. It's either PG-13 or R.
Ah, righto.
Yeah, that's probably right. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to watch it. So,
I mean,
if they make it G,
movie, I would be happy. I would be very happy if they made it R. But I understand why they wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, if they made it R, it would be very much in keeping with the manga, wouldn't it? But yeah, I agree with you. I think it might be a little much for some folks. I mean, especially the kids, I think. So
yeah, I think if you actually saw brain splatter on the track of the motorball, I mean,
yeah,
it'd be a bit much and not totally necessary, but there's ways to get around that. But that would be epic. That would be amazing. So.
Yeah, Maxie says that Alita explodes every guy's head on the motorball arc. Maxie, is that because she's kind of cute, or is that because she literally explodes their heads? Probably a little bit of both, I think. So, okay. Well, anyway, those are the characters that we'd like to see. Definitely, we got to see Josh Hagan. I agree with Dizzy on that one. We definitely got to see him. I think we got to see Zapan. I do think we need to see Screwhead again. Well, hell, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing everybody up there. So it's just the way it is, I guess. So.
Yeah, I think Josh Hagan is the most important one for the next movie.
Yeah, I think so.
I think for the character development, that is the most. That's going to be the most relevant night. What I would want to see, because the movie's going to take long enough to do it, is the Zapan arc would not fully finish.
Yeah.
They could start the Zapan arc for the third movie.
No, I don't think that would save it for the third movie, because you have so much. If you're doing a third movie, the third movie is going to be the conclusion of like the Nova. So I think, if anything, they might do the Josh Hagan and the Zapan arc in the same movie, and have the Zapan arc conclude. But then they're going to do the cliffhanger with the Yellow Door.
Okay, Finn asks, what's the name of the dog? And of course, then he says, okay, the Hunter Warrior's name with the dog. Well, the Hunter Warrior in the manga is named Murdoch, but in the movie it's McTeague. And he's got actually 4 dogs, I think, or is it 5? I can't remember. And we named them here a couple of weeks ago, but I can't remember the names. Now, one of them was Honor, I think, but that's the only one I remember. But yeah, you might be talking about a specific dog in the manga. His name was Fang, or Duke Fang, I think is what it was. And that's the dog that kind of went down in the hole with Makaku, who is Gruishka in the movie, where Alita, Makaku in the manga, kind of gets Koyomi, who is a little baby in the manga, and jumps down the hole, and then Alita goes after him, and of course Duke Fang goes down there too. So anyway, yeah, Maxie says 4 dogs. Okay, yes, yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 4 or 5. So, well, briefly, Maxie, McTeague actually had 5 dogs, didn't he? He had that little stray on his lap until
that was Davo.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Well, Mikey Vike says he wants to see Hugo and Alita again, but I don't know if that's going to be possible there, Mike. I don't know. I think Hugo is he's in that that little vacation spot in the sky now, I suppose. That's where he is. So anyway.
No, so he's not. He's down there, mate. He's still down there. Doc Ito's working on him as we speak.
Yeah, all we have to do is go find him and give him a new body.
Yeah. I think it could be a very nice flashback. Hugo training Alita, as we mentioned in another live stream. It could be a very nice memories of Alita, how she trained with Hugo in the scrimmage of Motorball. I think it could be, it seems like that, very nice. Remember Hugo, but Hugo is dead. I am agree with Krieg. It's no way to return again. Maybe the spirit, I think.
Well, I do think a flashback type thing. I would definitely like to see that. I think, just because I don't know if on Raul's YouTube page, he does have a couple of those scenes, of Alita and Hugo training, kind of like they did in the novelization, which is pretty good, So I wouldn't mind seeing something like that, or it could be something like a dream state, where she's asleep and then she dreams and then Hugo comes to her in a dream. Maybe I could see that. I think I'd be okay with that. But I don't really care as long as Alita's in it. That's all. As long as Alita's in it, I'm good. So,
I mean,
yes, please.
In fact, Alita is a very big encyclopedia. It's a lot of contents, a lot of histories. I think there's so much to tell about the Alita that I think Like Robert said, I think it could be different lines. Maybe it could be very good to finish the 3 movies that James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez thought, and they can develop some animes to complete the history of the Mars Chronicle. The another history is very interesting of Yukito Kichiro. I think they have many different expressions of art that complete the universe of Alita that is very huge.
Yes. Yeah, definitely 3 movies. That's a minimum, though, Alejandro. Creek wants more than 3, actually. But 3, I'd barely survive with 3, I guess. So, that's the way that would work, I guess. And, of course, we got a series. And, who knows, even as we speak, Robert may have already pitched Disney a series. He may have, because remember, that's what, if you remember in that WonderCon video, I guess Rosa did say that, or at least the question was to Rosa that Robert Rodriguez was going to, depending on the success of Boba Fett, was going to pitch and lead a series. And of course, I think when Avatar comes out, I don't know if you guys seen the trailer, but that trailer looks awesome. I mean, it's God damn, it's going to be a good movie, I think. And I think once they get the momentum going like that, I think Alita's going to get in there. They're going to get her, Mikey Vike says, any predictions? We may hear something this year about a green light, but I think if we don't, definitely next year, I think, because that'll be after Avatar 2 comes out. And I think that momentum will have established itself. And I think Avatar is going to make over $1 billion myself. I mean, just, that's just, Creaky's not just his hope, but that's what I predict. I think it's going to make a lot of money. If the movie's anything like the sequel, it is going to be awesome. So. Yeah, it looks like they are pushing the boundaries there, hybrid on PG-13. Most definitely. They kind of did that with Alita. They had a little bit of red blood in there, not too much, because they can't do it a lot. But they sure had copious amounts of blue blood. So I think that worked out pretty well, So, Max Tech, yes. They're the name of the dogs. Oh, Valor, not Honor. That's right. Yeah, you're right, Maxie. Fury, Glory, Hubris, and Valor, yes. What about storylines, guys? And in the chat, what do you think? There's some examples we can chat about right there. And Robert, maybe this is not being fair to you because of just about every one of those up there, save maybe the motorball competition and Zalem are right out of the manga, So, but what do y'all think? Angelus, what do you think?
Oh, I thought we were doing the topic of who we'd want to play these characters.
Well,
Professor what characters?
We kind of moved off of that. Why, you got one to add?
No, like that's what I suggested last week.
Oh,
like, who would we?
Well, I guess one we could add to this was Embody. We could add him too, I guess. Of course, he would be way down the line. He's toward the end of the Last Order. So, but no, what about the storylines? So, I mean, I kind of skipped over this last week because I didn't want to stretch the stream out another 30 minutes. We already went almost 3 hours last week. So,
okay.
One thing that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just confused as to what the topic was. That's all.
Okay.
But go ahead, Robert.
Oh, I was just gonna say it would be really nice to see. I think this would be part of the Mars Chronicles, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But I like to see Alita's training. In
yes,
whatever military, prior or I don't know if it happened during the war, prior to the war, but I'm assuming that there has to be some sort of training for her to go in and be part of the army. And I would love to see that storyline.
Yes. Yeah, we've talked about that on a couple of streams about her training, because we didn't get much of that in the movie, did we? We only got that one little piece where she was in the gravity chamber with Gelda, So and that's the only any kind of training we saw about her. But I kind of agree with you, Robert. I'd like to see her learning Panzerkunst. That would be kind of interesting. And probably Davo knows this, because he's certainly, martial artist, but it'd be kind of interesting to see the techniques they use for training, And then, of course, Dizzy was once in the Aussie military. He, probably, what does the military's boot camp look like? I'd like to see that myself, So, that'd be interesting. That would be very interesting, I think. Oh boy, we just came up with another series. We just came up with another series. Yes.
And I want to see it just like Starship Troopers, that period where they were training with all the blood and yes, that's what I want.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be blue blood, but yes, yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there'd have to be a lot of creativity involved, because we even in the manga we don't really get a lot of that. It's just kind of the flashbacks. I think we're starting to see it with Mars Chronicles, but it hasn't even that part hasn't even been written yet.
Yeah, that would be we lost Dizzy. He probably had to go get coffee because that's his drink. So anyway, Ash Blackwind brings up some good stuff. One thing I would like to see, we've talked about this in the other streams too, is Alita singing in the Kansas bar. She does that in the manga, where she actually plays keyboard and sings, just like a solo type thing. I don't know. Does she play guitar? I don't remember that. Maybe I don't remember.
It's like a piano guitar.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but she's a musician, and she's in what's called a civilian body. It doesn't have any particular powers. I mean, it's still a cyborg body, so she could probably whip any human's butt in that body. But I'd love to see that. Yeah, that's right. Dizzy says he's off. He was off to get some coffee. So yes. So anyway, what do you think, Angelus? What strikes your fancy up there? You can say all
definitely the Imaginos bodies.
Yeah.
At least for me, anyway.
Yeah, but the Creek's got to see that too. Yeah, how about you, Alejandro?
Well, for me, it's very important that the question of the mission that she remembers of Gelda, in order to go to Salem and confront Nova. She in any way she has to get there in that city. The point is it's necessary to destroy the city, or maybe only kill Nova, because they have passed 300 years, and as Koyomi said to Tanji, I think she has to get over it. I think maybe it's not necessary to destroy Salem. Maybe it's necessary to confront Nova and to check what is the destiny after that. I think this line is very interesting.
Well, I do think, at that when she fought Gorishka at the end and cut him in half, then I do think that, she got that flashback like she was getting when she fights, to finish the mission, destroy Zalem. That's going to be a pretty pretty strong driving force for her, because that's something they kind of ingrained in her during her military training, which is something like Robert brought up a while ago. I'd like to see, how did they, not just the physical part, but even what about the mental aspect of it? I'd like to see that too, but she, I'm not going to spoil it too much here, but I would say that she does actually make it to Zalem twice. One time she makes it to Zalem. Of course, she's captured, when they are going up the supply tube and that kind of thing. And then, of course, she gets captured, tortured, and executed, and then after that, in the last order, she gets back up to Zalem again, and she was in her one of her Imaginos bodies when she did that. So I think when she gets there, Maxie would know this. I think maybe you know it too, Angelus, is that when she gets up there, she's, I think, in Imaginos 1.0, but she gets Imaginos 2.0, I think, in Zalem, but I might be wrong about that. I haven't gotten that far in my second reading of the manga yet. So,
but you think it's very important to include that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, now they're not going to be able to do that in the next movie, the sequel. I mean, that's too far down the line, her getting up to Zalem the second time. But I do think if they had like a trilogy of sorts, or even more than that, say they treat this like they do the James Bond movies, where she gets 24 movies, I'd be okay with that. Somewhere down the line, she's going to get back up to Zalem, so, and then of course they could follow fairly closely the manga on that one,
Okay.
Any thoughts, Jeffrey?
Yeah, well, one, I think her Imaginos 2.0, if we're following the manga, is actually in Catharis or Jeru. So it's not in Zalem, but
it's not in Zalem. Okay, yeah.
Right, and it's during the Last Order, where basically there's like the tournaments and stuff. Like that's where she gets that.
Yeah. Well, Imaginos 2.0, she gets that, like you say, in Catharis or Jeru, but eventually she gets Imaginos 2.1. That's when she's connected to the singularity, and she's connected to the two supercomputers, I guess Melchizedek and whatever the one on Zeus, I guess it is.
Here I think there's some confusion, because this is something that
yeah, you're breaking up real bad there, Jeffrey.
I think something that Den kind of created, where he's referred to the furries, comparing that to the one compared to the canon of Last Order. So there was the 1.0 versus 2.0, which he was comparing, because I don't think the book ever actually mentions 0.1. So,
well, I think that's the body that Nova gives her originally, the first Imaginos body. I think that's where that 1.0 thing, because remember, well, not to spoil things too much, but she doesn't fare too well at the end of the at one part of the arcs. I get at the end of one of those volumes, and of course she gets put back together, the baby bomb thing, and she gets put back together. I think that could have been the tuned body, though I can't remember now, but I know at one point I think Nova gives her the Imaginos 1.0 body, I think, but I don't know. Angelus, is that right? Or Jeffrey? I don't know.
So from everything that I remember, like in a very early part of it, like, so she does kind of get cut up into a couple of pieces, but that's because like she's like cryogenically frozen in those cubes, and then basically Deckman 100 repairs her, but it's not a new version. The only change that's made to her body in Last Order is when she's in the tournament, where she kind of becomes one with the basically the wormhole, and Melchizedek. So that really only happens in the series about that.
Yeah, you broke up quite a bit there at the end. So I think when I think the Imaginos 2.1 body is when she's fighting Toji. She was in 2.0 when she starts fighting him. Then she gets blown to bits, and then comes back, and that's when she's connected to the wormhole or the singularity and Zeus and Melchizedek, I think. So that was the 2.1, because I remember Nova saying, "Oh, this is Imaginos 2.1," is what he said, or something like that.
I think
believe
it was
is what I remember. Okay, I'm not sure about that. So, yeah.
I like hybrid idea. I don't know.
Oh, you mean
Kind of.
what
I envisioned something what Marvel did with What If series.
What If? Yeah. What if Nova had Nova? There's a theory that Nova actually discarded Alita in the scrapyard, so I don't know why he would find her. But what would have happened if somebody else had found her? She might have just been an evil, hunter warrior. After that, who knows? Or it says, or if Mars had won the war. Actually, I think from what I've gathered, nobody actually won that war. I think probably 90% of the human race got wiped out when the plague, when Mars launched that weapon, that virus, that they put on Earth, and of course they got wiped out when that nanobot virus was exploded on Mars. So I think neither Mars or Earth won the war. I think they both obliterated each other, and nobody could claim to be the winner because they both suffered so much losses. They had the capacity to fight anymore. So Ash has a good idea. What about Josh Agon and his martial arts training? That would be interesting too. I'm not sure they could do much of a storyline in like a sequel for the second movie, but they could definitely do something as a series, about if they had Josh Agon and Alita in a series about to compete with each other, they could pretty much have as many episodes as they wanted to culminate with them fighting each other. Probably they could do something like that. Now, I don't think that any kind of training episodes, I don't think they could do 4 or 5 of them because people would get tired of it. They get bored with it. But they could probably do like 1 episode, maybe 2 tops, and then end that up with Alita and Josh Agon competing with each other. So, but yeah, it kind of like Dizzy said a while ago, it'd be neat to see that rivalry on the screen, especially when they do that arm wrestling match. That'd be pretty cool, I think. Little bitty 4'11" Alita against 6'7" Josh Agon, that would be kind of an interesting looking arm wrestling match, I think. The arm did not destroy Zalem, Finn. I think that, Zalem, if you remember from the movie, and they didn't go into a lot of detail with it, but I got the feeling, the feeling in the movie was there were 12 floating cities, and the Urm brought down 11 of them, and Zalem was the only one left, and Nova is on Zalem. So the Urm didn't accomplish their mission if their mission was to also destroy Zalem and kill Nova, because if you remember in that training sequence, Gelda tells Alita that Nova is the dragon that must be slain. So that had to be one of the objectives, I guess, but they didn't accomplish that in that war, so they didn't destroy Zalem or Nova. Okay, let's see, anybody else got anything here? Okay, yeah, they could go into Joshigan's brain disease, I guess. I'm not sure they'd do that in the movie. I think that, maybe they would.
Or Nova's experiments in general.
Yeah, or one of Nova's experiments. Yeah, exactly. So I know the Creek wants to see the Zot. That's what I want. That would be probably in the last movie, where they would, maybe if they had 5 movies, it would be in the last one, because that's where it ends up in the last order, the last volume of the manga, and that, I think they could make that very exciting. We also brought up, I guess it was either last week or when we were talking to Elle, that it'd be neat to see a complete motorball match, kind of like they did that movie Rollerball when Houston was playing Madrid. They went through the whole game, and Houston won the game 4-2 or something like this. And it was 7 minutes, is well over 7.5 minutes. And it was, it would be one of those things, if you thought that was in a movie, you'd think, well, this is going to be a real, this is going to put me to sleep. But they did it very well, and it'd be kind of neat to see them say, dedicate, 5 minutes, certainly 7 would be okay, to a motorball competition, especially if it was a team competition, I think, or even cutthroat for that matter. It would be kind of neat to see how they play the game, because you don't really get a good sense for that in either, the motorball match that Alita goes to with Hugo, or the one she competes in the murder ball match. You didn't get really a good sense of what the objective of the game was and stuff like that, because I do know, reading about it or seeing it on another video, that they do like 10 laps, and players get points if they got the motorball, and on one of the laps they cross the finish line with a motorball, they get a point or something like that. But it would be kind of neat to see that, to see Joshigan, say, win one of the matches that Alita's not in, or it could even be one with Alita's in, but how he wins it, that would be kind of a neat thing, I think.
Yeah.
And let me ask you something. Would you like to see Alita like a champion of the motorball in going to Salem, like a champion?
However that ends up, because I know I think in the movie, the implication is that she won the second league championship. In the manga, I think she never gets to the second league. I think she's in the third league, which is kind of like a semi-pro league. I think. If Maxie's out there, he could probably correct me on that. But I would like to see her compete in a motorball match with Joshigan. I'd like to see that. Because it'd be kind of interesting to see her in that motorball body. Because remember, in that what was supposed to be a tryout, she was in a berserker body. And the berserker body is pretty powerful, but it's not specifically designed to compete in a motorball match, whereas that motorball body is. And it'd be kind of interesting to see, its capability. And of course, Joshigan would have his motorball body, and it would be kind of neat to see them, kind of against each other like that, and other motorball players like Crimson Wind and Adjicutty and Scaramascus and some of the others. It'd be kind of neat to see her, competing against those Champions League players. I think.
Okay. And I remember in the manga, there was another cyborg that had the same number at 99, and she had to compete against him because no one has to have the possibility to repeat the same number, so he has to come back that in the third book of the manga.
Yeah, that was Adjicutty in the manga, and of course she already had 99 in the movie, so and they didn't compete for it. So because she was already 99, but they could do something with her and Adjicutty, I think, like that, because I do think Adjicutty actually gets on her team eventually. Oh, we lost Angelus, so. Finestro doesn't have any coffee. Yeah, in Switzerland, it's probably around, probably around 2:00 or 2:30, I guess. So if I'm not wrong about that, Finestro.
But in fact, there are many things to talk about the motorball competition. I think it's a very good content for the storylines in the sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have like a one motorball match and then, just show you what it is. Maybe Joshigan competing in it. And, maybe one with Alita, maybe a few snippets of that, and them competing against each other, and then go right into the Zerkerpan arc. I think that would be kind of cool, I think. Okay, Ash Blackwind says he remembers something about Alita's antimatter microreactor heart being able to create a black hole. I don't quite remember that. That could be, but I think but he's got a point, because I think one of the things was that suicide technique where she was supposed to destroy Zalem with it or something. I can't remember, And then, of course, his thing is to bring up why Nova wants her heart. I think eventually, I think Nova, when Hugo dies, if he wanted to kill Alita, he could have just sent another supply ring, one of those defense rings, rather, down the tube and chopped her up, because she was just hanging there. But I think at that point, and it goes into this in the novelization, that he has found he doesn't want to kill her now because she is much more interesting alive than she is dead. So I think that's one thing about it. He originally wants her heart, but now he's providing her with so much entertainment that he wants her to stay alive so he can continue to be entertained, because he is biologically immortal. So, he's been alive for over 300 years. So he probably has to find ways to not be bored, probably. So, what else, guys? What up on that list? I guess, Robert, that you would like to see, I suppose.
Well, having only the limited knowledge that I have, aside from the Mars Chronicles, the motorball competition, that would be kind of cool to see too. Don't know how that develops in the manga though, but it just seems interesting to me.
Yeah, it would be interesting, particularly her competing with Joshigan. What do you think, Alejandro? What else would you like to see up there? I know you said something about the motorball competition, but anything else?
Well, I mentioned the motorball, the silent. Well, I would say that there is a lot of histories in the book, The Last Order. I haven't read that, but I know that for some videos in YouTube that there is a lot of content there, like the thoughts that you mentioned, and many other competition and many histories, very very interesting, and jumping in Venus, in Jupiter, in another planet. I think it's a lot of the huge histories in the cosmos, because Alita is a huge character that involves many very interesting histories in different scenarios. I think there is so much to tell about the Alita that I think could be very interesting to see in another planet.
Yeah, Alita in space.
Sure.
I'd like to see that. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
But because the mention, we mentioned in another live stream, I think that Alita is like a female version of the 2001 Odyssey, Space Odyssey. So I think something like that, so big, so huge, and I think the destiny of Alita is going to be so big that it's going to give us a new interpretation of about how is to be a human being in different bodies, in different technologies, in different ways to live, and I think that is very, very interesting.
I think they could lead us into that when she's in the military, because she has to, during that war they had several battles in space, and she certainly had to travel on spacecraft to get to Earth so they could attack Zalem. So I think they could at least ease us in or prepare us for that, by kind of coming up with a storyline there of Alita being in the fighting in space, So, we just lost. Who did we lose? We lost Jeffrey. He probably hit a. Okay, here's something else from the chat. Emperor Joshigan. Yeah, I think that would. Yeah, I'm not sure how well that would go, Maxie. It would be kind of neat to see Joshigan as kind of a lead character in a series, let's say. I don't know. Do you think it would be very successful if Alita's not in it? So, because if they're going to develop him like that, she's not going to be in it. I mean, if it's pre-Alita, obviously she's not going to be in it. So now I think they could go in a little bit of a backstory for him, maybe.
I think if they have good writers, they can make it work. It would be strange though without Alita, but
yeah,
I can see how that could lead. Like if you have people that are fans of that particular thing, they're like, oh, they're going to do more. And I don't know. I can see it working somehow.
Especially while she's going through the second league, maybe they could do it where, they develop him while he's also watching Alita go through the second league, and just have maybe a few little side stories about her, as she's competing in the second league, but focus mostly on Joshigan, like his perspective of Alita coming up through the ranks. They could probably do something like that. Yeah, Joshigan in the movie is not as good as he is in the manga. I agree with that. He's kind of like a god in the manga. Although I would say, Maxie, that there was that one scoreboard they had up there when Kanuba won that one match, where Kanuba moved up from third place to second place, but he was still behind Joshigan, so he was still in first place. So he was still pretty good. He was still leading. He was still leading the league, I guess, and becoming the final champion. So. One place where they got a little bit of where they have some leeway, I guess, would be the Badlands arc. There's like 10 years there that Kishiro didn't write anything about, so they could get a little creative on that one. I mean, now certainly he does a lot. He does write some stories about her being in the Toon program, which is also part of the Badlands arc, I guess, or toward the end of it at the very least. But I think in the Badlands arc, there's about, like you say, there's about a 10-year period there where they don't, Kishiro has nothing. He didn't write anything about it. And I think that was that period when he was having some health problems, I think. So. Okay, so anything else up there strike you guys fancy?
I think that Alita in the Badlands, if she returned to the ship, to the armed ship, I think she can find a lot of history and register and contents and many information about the Mars civilization and the technology. I think in that, as she said, that ship respond to her, and I think going to the Badland, he can to recover many things of her history. Don't you think that?
Yeah, I think that's I think that would be very appropriate. Maybe she hooks into a system there, and it kind of gives her some more information about her memories or something like that. Maxie brings up a good point. There is that short, I guess it's at the end of volume 2, I guess, in the book set, about Alita that was hunting that deckman, if you remember, and she ends up shooting the deckman, after he plays with the kids. I mean, she didn't shoot him until the kids left, and then she shot him. So, but that happened during that 10 years. So, that could be part of the story, I guess. Although I think in the case of Disney, I don't know if they'd want to portray her because she's pretty bad. That's one of her bad moments right there, I think. Although the deckman was malfunctioning, I guess, but it's kind of like, well, she shoots him in cold blood almost. Although a deckman, I don't know how cold their blood would be or warm, but but that's a good point, Maxie. Okay, I can't think of anything else up there, guys. I think we've already mentioned we want to see her in her Imaginos bodies. I guess we talked briefly about her in the Toon program. That's where she meets Figure 4, and Figure 4 is kind of he's a stud to be blunt about it. He's a pretty big guy, and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's right, Maxie. The deckman is part human. That's right, because they recruit people to be. Is your life boring and do you want purpose in your life? Become a deckman. That was, I guess that could have been in the novelization if I'm not incorrect about that, Maxie. Anyway, and I guess the Zot. We do want to see Zalem. We definitely want to see that. What does it look like in the movie? I mean, that'd be kind of a cool thing, because all we get is wide shots of Zalem. We don't know what it's like being on the streets of Zalem, as an example, because we didn't get that. They didn't get to that level of detail, I guess, or they didn't get into Zalem. So,
yeah, that would be one of the things, especially for people like me, and I'm sure there's a lot of us out there that have seen the movie. I might be, a little farther out than them because I actually watched the anime, but I have not read the manga yet. That when they watch the movie, there's that, there's tons of references to the city, but we never get to see it. So I think the curiosity is very strong on people, especially after only watching that movie. Where, just like me, I want to see Salem. I want to see, what does it look like? How does it work? What is, and that actually could be played well into, if they decide for, for a part 2 on the movie.
Finestro, does Zalem have a Burger King, or do they have a McDonald's, right, Finn?
We don't know.
or as they would say in Germany about McDonald's, they call it McCoops. So, which means throw up, So anyway, Anyway, I don't know if they got a Burger King or a McDonald's up there, Finn. I don't know about that one, but that's one reason we want to see it. So, oh, a little bit more of a story about the Damascus blade Ash Blackman brings up. Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of neat, you know, to see a little bit about that. You know, maybe something of a, I don't know if we want to see any kind of documentary part or how they make a Damascus blade. I'm not sure that would be in the offing here, but yeah, just a little more detail about the Damascus blade itself, you know, because if you remember, Zapan said that it is honed to a monomolecular edge. Well, that's pretty sharp is what that is, you know. So yeah, I'd like to see that, you know. Also Hybrid brings up, what about Venus? Because Alita does go to Venus, you know. Of course, she goes, I guess she's in Mars, you know, or on Mars in the Mars Chronicles. She goes to Jupiter. Yeah, what about those things? Yeah, that'd be something kind of neat. Oh boy, we're coming up with more movies. That's what I want. So anyway, yeah, I want to see all that stuff. Okay, if anybody wants to have because we're going to wrap it up here pretty quick, but if anybody wants to get on and say anything about what you would like to see in Alita, you know, an Alita sequel series, anime, or any more manga, you know, bring it up. Yeah, I think Finestro and Hybrid know exactly what I'm talking about when I say McCoots. I think they definitely know what that is. So, and has Venus got a civilization? Yes, they do. They are actually they kind of are like the biological eugenics type engineers or something like that, whereas Jupiter is more of the cyber technology gurus or something like that. So yeah, they're Maxie. Yeah, they're not going to be able to put that in a Disney sequel. That's right. Venusians eating children. No, that's not going to work. Yeah, that's yeah, that certainly isn't going to be in the offing, I think, in any kind of an Alita series or sequel, you know. Okay, guys, anything else that you can think of? Or did we miss anything? Robert or Alejandro, can you think of anything we missed?
Well, I think for the sequel, it's very important to take into account a very good screenplay, like in the movie. The screenplay is wonderful. I think the work of James Cameron, Lyra Kalogridis, and the work of reducing the long of the history by Robert Rodriguez and pointing new aspects. I think it's so specific and so good that the successful depends of the screenplay very much. I think this was wonderful, and I think we are hoping the same quality and the same very excellent text in the screenplay for the sequel, movies, animes, or anything like that.
Yeah, I think if they get Lita Kalogridis and Robert Rodriguez certainly, you know, help hone that, you know, those notes, I guess, that James Cameron had. If they bring that team back together to do another screenplay, and they've got notes already, and they got the manga, you know, so they got a lot of material to work with. So yeah, I agree with you. If they use the same team, it's going to be a great story, that's for sure. Well, Finestro asks, how many planets have a civilization in the Alita universe? I guess. Well, that certainly Earth and Mars do, but their civilizations are kind of been, you know, not wiped out, but really damaged pretty heavily, actually, you know, because of the war they were in. Venus and Jupiter certainly have civilizations, as I remember. Yeah, and Pluto, I guess, too. I guess I'm not sure that's a civilization or if that's just an outpost. I don't remember. But I know there's at least 4 planets that have in the solar system that have a civilization. And I thought I read somewhere in the manga where they were considering going interstellar or something like that. Maxie, if you're out there, correct me. But they don't go into any kind of detail about that, about having traveled to other stars or anything, that maybe they have. I don't know. I don't remember. So. Yes, absolutely. Check out season 2 of Science Fiction Remnant. There you go. Robert, you got a plug. So that's cool.
Thank you, Max.
Yes. Yeah, we will be checking that one out. That's for sure. So, yeah, and you guys got a YouTube channel too, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've seen that. It's pretty nice.
We're gonna do something different for season 2. We're gonna have which is not something that we did in season 1. We're gonna have a video for every episode, and the only difference is it's gonna be aired about a month after the audio hits. But yeah, we will have one for every episode.
Nice. Finestro's on about this Burger King thing. So yes, Finestro,
are you hungry?
Think Iron City. Yeah, I don't think they have a Burger King there in in Iron City. I think Burger King probably went bankrupt long before that. So anyway,
what would they use for beef?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they probably have some cows out there in the farms, I think. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Maxie just chimed in. Yeah, they did have an interstellar initiative, but it got stopped by Operation Malwolf. That's where Alita, I guess, killed all those people when she was in the military. So, yeah, thanks, Maxie, for that one. Yeah. Okay, guys, I can't think of anything else unless y'all can think of anything. And yep, Alita does love her Uncle Creek. That's right, Robert. And Maxie kind of teased me about this the week before last, about me being a shameless self-promoter. But, Alita, in the Alita Army, Alita's my niece. So, so that's the way that one works, I guess. And certainly here's our queen, Rosa. I mean, she is a great actress. I mean, I just like her expressiveness. She did a super duper job, on Alita. I mean, her facial expressions, just her movements. She trained, to learn martial arts, to make sure that the movements in the movie were, looked very authentic. And she trained really hard for this. And she also trained at doing some rollerblading too, So, yeah, you're right, Finn. She's definitely wonderful. There's no doubt about that. A great actress, and of course, it doesn't hurt that she's pretty. So that's also helps. So, but yeah, she's really great. She's number 1 in the Creeks book in terms of being an actor. So
she's so good. She actually did a short for Star Trek. And I'm hearing buzz that people want to see that character in Strange New Worlds. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'll be number 1. I don't know if you guys seen that short, but she did a great job as a captain.
She did. Yeah, that was What's Wrong with Edward, isn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, that is so funny every time I see that guy, because
that's hilarious.
I don't know if you've seen the show Archer. It just.
A long time ago, yeah. That's funny,
the episode is the problem with Edward in the short track, right?
Yeah, the problem with Edward, or the trouble with Edward, or something like it, because it was based off of that the trouble with tribbles, from the original series, and they had all those tribbles everywhere. Which, I guess the tribbles just eventually overtook the ship, and that was funny at the end, why was that why did Edward do what he did, and what about the what happened to the ship and everything? At the very end, she says he was an idiot. I love that. As a matter of fact, Robert, on our outro on the Radio Chaos stream, we kind of added Rosa from that little short, in there, where we played the Picard and Data thing, and we kind of added Rosa and Alita in a couple of the shots, So anyway, so it kind of adds to it a little bit. But yeah, that's right, Maxie. The trouble with Edward. That's right.
Guys, have you seen the Undone second season?
Not yet. No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to, though. I'm definitely going to. So
I strongly recommend you. It's wonderful. I have seen that.
Yeah, the first season was excellent. I mean, it was super. I love that. I love that series. It's really good.
Which series?
In absence of a sequel, Undone.
Okay.
Robert, I highly recommend you watch that. Watch the first season certainly first. And it's not hard. It's not like you got to plow through it. I mean, it is very entertaining, and it got really high scores on Rotten Tomatoes. So Ash Blackwind, that rat burger was from Demolition Man. So anyway, yeah, I know what you're talking about there. So yeah. I think, I'm not sure if I have this is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow on Radio Chaos. And Maxie, I think I got it right this time. I remember last week I had the wrong slide up there because Maxie changed the sequence of things, after I had already made the slides here. But we're going to be going back over the manga. We're going to be going over chapters 4 and 5 in the manga, and it's at the last of the Hugo arc, I think. So it should be a pretty good series or pretty good stream tomorrow on Radio Chaos. It's roughly 24 hours after this stream. So
great. I love your work. Great work.
Well, I can't take credit for Radio Chaos. I mean, I help a little bit, but Maxie and Tony and Angelus and I and others actually, help do a lot of that. So I'm on the team there, but I can't take the credit for it. So, but it's certainly a great series. It's good. It's a great stream. We have a lot of fun with it. So, and it's, as Maxie, I point out to Maxie, the Alita live stream is Radio Chaos Cubed is what it is. So, we're a lot more chaotic on this stream than Radio Chaos is.
And let me tell you that your last video makes me 40 years younger, remembering Raw Speedwagon songs. It was very nice.
Oh yeah, the one with REO Speedwagon.
Yes.
Is that the one? Yeah, that's a good video. That song, I think you saw in the description, that song reminds me of an old girlfriend, So
anyway, that's
kinda,
a romantic memory.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, or an old friend anyways, because we still keep in touch. So
great.
Okay, folks. Well, why is this image here? Well, that image is there because the Creek likes it and he's running the stream. And as to paraphrase Grishka, I am only here for our girl and the Alita Army. And of course, the Alita Army is only here. All of us are only here for our girl. So, we want that sequel. You hear that, Disney? Damn it. We want that sequel. We want the series. We want the anime. We want Kishiro. You hear this? We want more manga. So give us, and we want merch. We want more merch too. So anyway, give us that. So and you'll have a happy army on your hands if you do that. So. Okay. Let me just put one more thing up here from Finestro. I guess the politics in America is slowly becoming what it is there in Demolition Man. Yeah, that's a good point there, Ash. Could be, And Maxie says, give us our Alita cinematic universe. Absolutely. We definitely want it. We sure do. Okay, I guess, folks, that's pretty much it for the Alita live stream. And so I guess on my count of 3, we're going to do our call to action there, which you can see is Filmos equals baby. So on my count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Film
Film
those
the
sequels,
sequels,
baby.
baby. Yeah, Elle made us do it twice, but we're not going to do it again. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow on Radio Chaos, and we'll see you next week on the Alita Livestream.
Thank you very much.